We kindly request Union Minister for Law and Justice, Honorable Mr. Salman Koshi, to deliver a speech.
Vanakkam. I think Justice Mukhopadhyay has just converted me into an advocate once again. This time to advocate the cause of the Tamil language all the way up to the Supreme Court, not just from the High Court level. I was just being explained by my very eminent colleague and your representative in the Lok Sabha, Union Minister for State for Finance, Shri Padmanabhakam, that the groundwork is already being done, and that it was done in much earlier time, and I believe that both Dr. Justice Lakshmanan and Justice Sarasivam, a colleague to Justice Mukhopadhyay, have already done a lot of advocacy in order to ensure that as an additional language, Tamil should be allowed in the High Court. And I believe that the presence here, both of Justice Dhanapalan and also Justice Venkatraman, who both of whom made very short but I believe very pithy and very meaningful interventions, as did Dr. Natarajan, his very passionate appeal for Tamil to be used in the High Court, and also my good friend Srimati Nalini Chidambaram, and indeed our Honorable MP Krishna Swamiji, who was responsible for persuading me to come here to join you in this marvelous celebration and affirmation, reaffirmation of a cause of the language which is so wonderfully espoused over the previous 20 years by Dr. V.R. Sampath. And I do honestly, from the bottom of my heart, from the very bottom of my heart, I acknowledge your concern, and I hope that I can be a faithful advocate for you in this cause. I know that we have a big problem in this country because we speak so many different languages. But in the past, people used to say India's population was its problem. Now many people in the West have started saying India's population is its power, because the marketplace and the emerging middle classes of our country are offering very attractive destination to everyone in the world. People want to trade with us, people want to invest here, people want to sell their goods in the Indian market. And remarkably, despite the fact that there's been a slowdown all over the world, the slowdown in the world has not been reflected in the same manner and been as adverse to us as it has been in the rest of the world. When I meet with my friends from across the globe and I complain that India is really suffering because our growth rate has dropped from 9% to 5.5, 5.6% or 6%, they say you should be celebrating. We are -1, we are 0, or we are 1%, and you are complaining at 5.5%. And I said, well, India is an impatient country and India wants to grow much faster. And our problems are such that our problems require a high growth rate at present, and therefore it's discouraging and distressing when we drop below 8 or 9%. Similarly, language is both India's problem and language can be India's strength. And I think that we have to encourage our young generations at least to learn 3 or 4 languages. I know that there are many people in your part of the world, in Tamil Nadu, who know a lot of languages. Many people in public life also who know a lot of languages. But I think across the country we have to encourage people to learn languages. And I personally, I must say, in the presence of all the eminent judges and eminent lawyers here, that personally, not as law minister yet, but personally I have a little discomfort about transferring of judges from one high court to another high court, because again language, various other issues arise. And the time it takes for chief justices to work on where to send whom and where to keep whom and where to take whom, etc., I think could be well spent on doing something else, learning Tamil, for instance, instead of saying that. But one of the advantages of transferring judges is that you would never have known Justice Mukhopadhyay as well as you do, and he would have never known Tamil as well as he does if the transfer policy wasn't in place. But frankly, I think today what we have to do, and this is the whole art of leadership, is that you convert your weakness into your strength. And if you think that something is adverse to your way of life, your interest, you convert it into a strength. And today with modern technology, language is not a problem. Today with modern technology, language is not a problem. You can sit on your mobile phone and learn any language that you want. And you can get any translation that you want. And India could be the hub of translations for the rest of the world, because that is the terrific strength that we can have. And therefore, I believe that as I said, the groundwork already having been done, and that already you're having come as far as you have come. The caution, I think, that was given by the Supreme Court, the caution about not moving too fast, because the case materials, the reading materials, the support materials should all be available. I think that shouldn't hold us back. I think that we should create, out of the need of money required for translating books, we should create a new industry, a new opportunity of jobs for young people who can help us bring translations and bring more books available. And therefore, I think today we have to acknowledge in the best possible way, not only that we are here to celebrate the 150 years of a remarkable history of one of the most outstanding high courts in our country, but that also to be here for Satta Kadir and for Brahma Gana Sabha to come together in this wonderful, beautiful celebration. But since we are on the point of language, I thought I must tell you, and Justice Mukhopadhyay will, I'm sure, endorse this. Very often, criminal cases come to the Supreme Court in which the evidence is read from UP or Bihar, where somebody is accused of having shouted. It's called a lalkara, that you give a lalkara and you say maro. Now, maro is a very common word. It means you can beat a person, you say maro, and you can kill a person and say maro. And quite often, judges from other parts of India are looking at the judges from northern part of India to say which maro is this. Is it just for beating them, or is it for actually killing them? But just imagine what a difference it can make if a person simply said, this is a terrible guy, beat him, and then he gets convicted for murder because for some reason that person receives an injury that could lead to his death. Similarly, I was once talking to a very famous ambassador from the United States of America, and I was describing to him what happened when Atal Bihari ji and I both went to, and I was then a Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, we both went to Geneva to fight the cause of India against Pakistan on the issue of Kashmir. And I kept saying to Senator Moynihan, he was then a senator, that it was our intention to fight Pakistan if Pakistan put on the table a resolution against Kashmir. And he looked very puzzled throughout, and he said, why would you want to fight Pakistan if it places a resolution on the table? I said, well, because that is how the fight begins. They accuse us of something, we have to reply. He said, but they're already putting it on the table, then why do you want to fight? And I said, well, putting it on the table is when the fight begins. He said, I'm sorry, are we speaking the same language? And I said, yes, we are both speaking English, aren't we? And he said, no, in my country, when you table a resolution, it means the end of the resolution. So I said, but in my country, tabling a resolution means it's the beginning of the resolution. So he said, I'll tell you, this is why you say tomato and we say tomato. That's the difference between, and I said, okay, I've now understood that George Bernard Shaw once said, why can't the Americans speak English the way we do? And then suddenly he said, let me tell you one more story about yourself. You had a foreign minister, or you had a minister who came to the United Nations. He said, I was a very young representative of the US. And that we had a fight again on Pakistan. There were difference of opinion. And he made a 9-hour long speech, and that was Krishna Menon. And Krishna Menon spoke for 9 hours, and the British ambassador got up and corrected something that he had said, the grammar of something that he said. And Krishna Menon said, "Don't you correct me. I have learnt my English language very carefully from my mother. You have merely picked it up in the streets of London." So that's the kind of thing that you can get with the vitality and the richness of language. I think we are lucky that we have been given this English language. It is no longer the language of the English, because it is now an Indian English language. And we speak much better English than those people in that little island do. There is no doubt about that. If you don't believe it, please go back to the judgments of Justice Krishna Iyer, and you will know that this is our language, not their language at all. But having said that, we still need, as the honorable judges have said, we still need something that communicates directly to the person who comes, the person who knocks on our doors for justice, the person who knocks on our door for solace, the person who knocks on our door for comfort. And therefore, if we cannot speak in the same voice, the same tone, the same language, the same grammar that that person understands as his or her own speaking voice, then we would seem like we are somebody alien, somebody distant. I thought that while we are looking at what you are advocating here, greater use of the Tamil language, and indeed actually enriching Indian law with further knowledge of Tamil language and Tamil literature, and the absolute wealth of literary genius that there is in the language, I think till then, as we struggle and strive and advocate the greater use of Tamil language and its familiarity, we can certainly think of one thing, sir. One thing that we can think of is, even if judgments at the lower level in district courts and at subordinate judiciary are passed in English language, at least one compulsory paragraph giving a gist of that judgment could be done in the local language, so that when the official version is handed over to the people who are litigants in front of the judge, that formal paragraph summing up the language of the judgment, summing it up in a paragraph or two, could be given in their own language. They wouldn't need to get it translated by somebody else, and they would no longer have to cry for being released. For being released, they would no longer have to cry. With these few words, I thank you all, and I congratulate you for this wonderful day, and also to Selvi Swarnamale Ganesh, who gave a fantastic performance. I have seen many dance performances, but the kind of warmth I saw in this performance, I believe, was unique and unusual. But I think it's important that only, if I may be allowed to say so, only lawyers can make you dance like that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.